Whoa, that's bouncy. Bouncy. Wow, it's Wisconsin. We don't get earthquakes here. What the hell is going on? Now it's all weird. Oh, it's bouncy. Hey guys, Chuck, Cat Craft Games Studio. How are we all doing? Hope everyone's having a good time. Good weekend. It's been good for us here. Just got done with a wedding. I got back a couple hours ago. Ooh, bling, and on my phone. Nuts. Yeah. So got back from a wedding, some old friends. Good time, good party, good stuff, good food, good booze. I blessedly took it easy on the alcohol. Um, I had to come home and do some homework. It was about an hour and a half drive. Did get to stop at Portillo's for lunch, which is fantastic. If you're not local to the greater Illinois area, you're missing out on some of the best hot dog action there possibly could be. But yeah, wedding yesterday. Congratulations to Jen and Andy. I've known Jen for a long time. Andy, not as long. Uh, Good couple, happy couple, seemed good. I think Andy was drinking probably the whole wedding reception's amount of gin allowed. So I don't understand gin drinkers. It's like chewing on old shoes that have been stuffed with dried berries. It's just not my thing. I'm not a huge, tremendous fan. So hey, look at that, Mike Chess. It's M1K3, our favorite droid dropped in with a big thumbs up. How you doing, Mike? How is everything going? Um, so yeah, wedding. Congratulations, Andy and John. Found out Andy works from home and has been following along. And asked a killer question of me yesterday through his drunken haze. Not that I'm belittling your ability to drink at all, Andy, but are we going to be putting out a game? Is Catcraft going to be putting out a game, or are we just going to sit here and run our mouths and paint little bits of foam? The answer is yes. We are going to be putting out a game. Hopefully around the holidays, perhaps early in the new year. We're going to drop a all free print and play product. I'm working on I don't know, I guess you call it kind of an arena combat rule set. Something you could actually make a character and dive into it. Miniature rules, possibly optional. I don't know. I'm playing with a rule set right now, and we will see what happens. So, but today we're going to paint these little things. Oh, that's the pink side. No, we're going to paint that side. So Mike's been following along. I've talked to him ad nauseum about this. This project comes from the incredibly talented Jeremy Pillipow at Black Magic Craft, who also deserves a round of congratulations as well. He just quit his full-time job. He was a carpenter, and he is now a full-time content creator for tabletop gaming on YouTube. Go check out Black Magic Craft. Go check it out. This is his project. I cribbed it. This used to be a 4-foot by 8-foot sheet of half-inch thick XPS foam insulation that I cut into 3-inch squares with my Proxxon hot wire cutter. You don't need one of those. You can use a nice sharp razor blade. Cut in 3-inch squares. You can see the little black bits right there popping through. I based them in a mixture of black acrylic paint and PVA glue. Jeremy Black Magic Craft calls for Mod Podge, which I think is probably one of the most disgusting products on the planet. It's up there with anything mint flavored. Anyone who knows me knows I hate the flavor of mint. So I got a bunch of these that are square on all the sides. I've got some like this one that have been detailed and carved out on either side. I've got some over here that are, oh, that one's both sides too, but I've got some that are on one side. I've got some that are on two sides this way. That way you can build up, a modular room. Here we're starting a little hallway, and then everything else I have is drying on the base coat. So you could stack a bunch of these together and have a really nice layout for a cavern combat system. These will tie in perfectly with the dungeon tile project he's got up. I think they are a great set. I am going to be prototyping in the next week or so some sewer tiles that'll tie in with this. Probably will require a Proxxon or maybe XPS foam and some of that cheap foam board you can buy at the dollar store. Other than that, it's going to be, I'm thinking hot glue, some acrylic paint, maybe, I don't know, for water effects, like a polyacrylic, which you could probably just get at Home Depot pretty cheap. I know I got a can around here in summer in the lab. Yeah, no, the workshop. It's not a lab. Lab makes me sound like I'm a mad scientist. I'm more of a aggravated scientist. I don't know, mildly pissed off scientist. Mad is just a little too far. So I based these in the black, and then I coated them with a very pale cream. I'm going for, I don't know, some kind of a limestone thing. Maybe it's not limestone. Maybe it is. I don't know. I'm not a geologist. I don't even play one on TV. So big mistake for me was it took like 2 coats of this pale paint to even mostly cover this black. So if you try this one out, maybe mix your black paint and PVA paint as like your base color paint and PVA. I'm not really worried about the black that is poking through. I don't know how much of that you guys can see there on that tile, but there on the side, definitely you can see it. We're going to sponge paint it, and most of that should be covered up, and what doesn't get covered up will get covered up by our wash and our highlighting. So I got this paint at Joann Fabrics. My wife is a seamstress, and we spend an inordinate amount of time at fabric stores. But that's cool because a lot of them are craft stores too, and I can get paint and brushes and all sorts of other weird crap. And then I've got some here, some warm brown and some espresso bean that we are going to sponge paint onto these while we chit chat. I've had this project on the burner simmering for months and months, and you know how it is. You know, you start something and then something else grabs your brain, and you get carried away with, you know, real life. Where do we do this here? Oh, the yard. I planted like a dozen arborvitaes in the yard and put in a rose garden, and I put in a herb garden which got overgrown. Mostly the dill takes over. Just a heads up, you start an herb garden, you put the dill somewhere else. For the love of God, just do it. So, but then you got someone like my friend here, Mike, who over the road trucker, man. You don't get, I imagine, Mike, the opportunities to sit down and work on a project like this. It's kind of hard to do if you're paying attention to the road. I really hope that you're not doing that kind of thing, painting while driving. That would be interesting at the least. So just like that cavern, or not cavern, just like that columns thing I did a couple weeks ago with you guys, I'm just gonna daub this paint. It's even the same plate. Just daub this paint onto another sponge and see. I'm gonna see what I get. Maybe we'll get something. Maybe we'll get something good. Maybe we'll get some stamping going on. Move around the. I got another sponge here if I don't like this pattern, and I'm just gonna pick up different bits of the paint. Get a little here, a little there. I do plan on doing a black wash with these, and then unlike most of the miniature painting I do, I'm going to do my highlighting after my wash. I'm going to do a highlight dry brush with bronze. And then when that's all said and done, I will polyurethane these. Pro tip, you're going to use spray polyurethane, cover this side with black paint or something. Just don't bother, because it'll melt. It'll be bad. You'll have wasted your time on your 6 base colors, and it'll be a screaming disaster. You'll be upset with life. You'll be upset with me. You won't try your new game when it comes out, and you might even just, I don't know, give up on Dungeons and Dragons completely. So I like that, guys. I mean, I don't know what you think. That looks pretty clue. You know, it's cavern tile. It's underground. It's rock. We'll mix it up on the side here a little bit. Maybe we'll do something like this. You know, drag a little bit. And you can see that's bringing out a little bit of the carving on the sides. So maybe on the sides we'll just drag like that. A little more dark paint on there. We'll drag. Look at that. What a drag, man. So yeah, wedding yesterday. it was nice to see friends who I hadn't seen in altogether too long. Uh, Matt, who I used to see on a very frequent basis, I have not had the pleasure of seeing for a couple of years, was there. It seems like he's been watching, hanging out, watching this ridiculousness. So let's see. Mike kept some minis and a paint case on the truck. Awesome. I gotta do something I've done for sure, dude. You gotta keep busy. I mean, I can't imagine being stuck with nothing. I would bring a book. I would bring some paints and minis. Something like this, you probably, I don't know if you'd be able to do it, but like the dungeon tile set I made fits in like a big tackle box size. And that was a fun project. When I get these done, I'll pop that up with the columns I made. We'll showcase all that stuff with some minis. What paints are you using, Mike? I'm an army painter guy. My wife is big into Citadel. Do you have a preference, bud? Oh, Mike's gone. Well, Mike, I hope you're using Army Painter because I think they're the best. Although Citadel does have some really cool stuff in their technical line. I think though with anything Citadel, and we've talked about this before, is you're really paying for that name, just like a Harley Davidson. You're buying that product, that company. So anyway, the wedding. Saw Matt. Got to see some old friends, Mark and Camille, whose wedding I was invited to but missed because I was in the hospital because I'm clumsy and I broke something. I think I jacked up my knee. Those of you that know me know I have some issues in my hoof, as it were. So that's pretty good. What do you guys think? Put that in the light there. That'll be cool. With a bronze highlight, maybe they'll go a little deeper with some of this dark paint. There's some spots there. I like that better. Let's get some color variation going like that. Maybe drag and stamp, like a dragon stamp. It's just a stamp. It just flies out of midair. Dragon stamp. So yeah, people I hadn't seen in a while, hanging out with us, watching videos, playing some D&D. It was nice to catch up. The food was good. The band was cool as hell. Generally, I'm not a big fan of live bands at weddings. They really don't, for the most part, know how to like contain their abyssal power over a small venue. But these guys did a good job, and it was absolutely hilarious. The modern day Romeos, I'd never had, other than my own wedding, quite as much fun at a wedding. My wedding was quite fun. So I had the pork for dinner, by the way. I'm big into food, and I've always felt that given the opportunity, always order the pork. See, we're gonna have to see. This is the wonderful part about this sponge painting. Oh, I hate that sound. There, we can just drag and fix that. Well, I'll fix that in post, by which I mean we'll repaint. So yeah, always order the pork. The salad was sweet, dude. It had a wine poached cheese stuffed apple. Yeah, and it was a fun time. It was a bit of a road trip for us. It was a couple hours, but it's always worth it when you get invited to a wedding. So, but that being said, we have another wedding next weekend. Congratulations to Andy and Jen yesterday. Early congratulations to John and Michelle next weekend. And John and Michelle went out on a limb, and they made their own mead to serve at their wedding, which is awesome and ballsy. John, Michelle, if you guys are watching this, kudos to you. I was asked if I was going to make the mead or the beer for our wedding because I did brew beer for some friends' weddings several years ago. I brewed, I don't even remember how many gallons of beer, but it was a lot. And I was asked because for our wedding, we did a beer pairing reception dinner. And I said, no, I will not brew beer for my wedding because that just seems like too stressful. I mentioned you guys, my wife's seamstress. She was asked if she was going to make her own wedding dress, and she thought about it for a little bit. And I said, no, because there's just not enough Xanax in the world for that kind of thing. The stress level would have been absolutely insane. So look at that. Look how that's turned out. I mean, with a little bit of black wash, you can't see it very well in these tiles. But before I did the black paint, I beat them up with this high-tech tool. This was a rock that was dug out of our yard last year when we had a patio put in. And literally, I just pounded these things to smithereens to make it look like textured, to make it textured. So it looks more, it's more than looks like textured. It's actually tactily textured. What's it? Mike says doesn't have much. That's for paint. Some Citadels in a case. Acrylic tubes, yeah. Acrylic tubes work really well. My first miniatures I ever painted were just like craft paint, like I'm using right now, and they turned out good. They tabletop quality without a doubt. I never had a problem with them, but if you look carefully on Amazon, you can get a big pack of these Army Painter paints. I think it's like 60 dropper bottles of paint for a really good price, maybe $70, and they will last you forever. And maybe for you, Mike, since you're in the truck, uh, these might be a little bit easier for use than paint pots. I would suggest Army Painter. They do need to be shaken up quite a bit more than Citadel. It seems like the paints settle out and separate a little bit faster than Citadel paints, but I've had really good success. I actually got a mini. Of course, my hands are painting full of paint, but I got a mini in progress over here I've been working on. And this is all Army Painter paints. Let's see if I can get this guy up for a close-up shot. Nope, it's blurry. Down here. Now he's literally a miniature. He's a miniature. He's too small. But he's gonna be a bad guy in my campaign. Down the road, it'll be cool. He's gonna be no secret. That is the brother of Croatian, our paladin. So he's got a thing for dragons. Always did, always has, always will. He'll also have a thing for trying to kill his adopted brother Croatian. Sorry, Matt, Croatian's player, but that's the way it is. You got a long time. You guys got to level up before you fight that guy. So, but we're playing that game next Saturday here. We're going to do a potluck. Hopefully, it'll be nice enough to grill. We still got a couple months maybe of decent weather here in Wisconsin for grilling and chilling on the patio and doing all sorts of stuff like that. But while we're here, I wanted to talk to you guys about balance. Like, can we balance this? That's dangerous. It's over my paint, but can I balance it? Can I balance it? Look at that. Balance. That's just one finger. Just one finger, ladies and gentlemen. Not a mad scientist. Just a little bit of a magician. So what is balance to you guys in your game? There's a bunch of ways you can think about balance in gaming. You could think about balance in combat. Very important, balance in combat. You got to keep your combats balanced. How about balance at the table? Not letting someone railroad your table. Not let some player run your table and ruin opportunities for other players to take the spotlight. That's a big one. Balance the table. How about number of players that a dungeon master can handle? Myself, I can do pretty well with a larger group, I think. I would think that I start to fall apart at 7 players. For a one shot, 7 or 8, something like that. I can do that. Newer DMs, I say, stick with a dynamic group of 3. 3 for a new dungeon master is all you should strive for. Mike, looking at it because it's easy. Yeah, those poorly thinned acrylics. If you're just using water, Mike, to thin those craft paints, you're gonna be in trouble because the pigments in these aren't as finely ground as they are in like the Citadel paints. You probably notice that, especially if you're trying to paint faces. Like I don't enjoy painting faces to start with. I took a class at Gen Con on them, and I feel like I've gotten better and more effective at faces and eyes, facial features, but I'm not good by any stretch of the imagination. So that's it. However, I did back that new Reaper Bones Kickstarter last year for a lot, like a lot of miniatures. So we're going to be seeing, 280 miniatures sometime in February. Some of them are not miniatures. Some of them are like 18 inches tall, and we're gonna be using the paint booth for a lot of that stuff. We've got behind me, got some cabinets hung up on the wall that I have modified, turned into a spray booth for airbrushing and rattle can spraying of things. Rattle can spraying, not this stuff, guys. Again, don't rattle can spray your foam without testing it. Some things may work, not will, not could, may. Rattle can stuff, it's not the paint. It's what's used as the thinners and the accelerants and stuff like that. It'll chew this pink foam to bits and it'll look bad. So don't do that. If you want a spring for an airbrush though, you can get a really good cheap airbrush. Anyway, we'll talk airbrushes later. Balance at the table. So we left off with balance players versus Dungeon Master. Not number of players counter to the number of Dungeon Masters. I played a multiple Dungeon Master game before. That was not fun. But yeah, I can handle, I guess, somewhere between 7 and 8. So I can handle 7.5 players for a one shot that I'm not too worried about continuity of the story. I don't know who that half player is. It'd probably be somebody really short. So maybe make them a half a person, or someone who's really like tired that isn't interacting. That would make them a half a person. So there's another point of balance in your game. What other kinds of balance do we got? Those are the big ones, I think. You know, combat balance, number of players balance, and then who's actually running that table balance. And that's a really important one too. It's up there with combat balance. Who is actually going to be the one who is in charge at the table? It should be behind the scenes in charge. It should be the DM. It should be you running the game. If someone's running your table for you in a bad way, I mean, there's good ways that your players can run your table if they're interacting together and they're doing things, or you've got someone who is just in the spotlight for their time. Let them go, man. Just sit back with your cocktail or what have you, and let them rip it out, and let them have a moment. But don't let that moment go too long, because then not just you, but your other players are going to start to suffer. And some people just aren't bombastic like that. So if that keeps happening with one player who is just railroading the entire way, you know, that Shire person is going to probably have less of a inkling to want to give it a try, to try it, because they might feel that they're going to get, you know, bowled over by Captain Garrulus, the Cavalier. That was just the first class that came to mind. A bard player, someone who plays a really good bard would probably do the same thing, or someone who plays a bard really well. But you don't want that to happen all the time. It's bad for you. It's bad for your table. It's bad for your game, and it's bad for your other players. It make some other players not want to come back and hang out and play. And if you're running a campaign that you've spent time on, you don't want to lose your key players. It's just not a good thing. So what I would do, and what I have to do frequently sometimes, is stop them dead. They'll get it. If they're that player, generally you give them a look and you say, all right, that's cool. And then look at another player and say, all right, what are you doing while he's doing this? And let the other players do things in that same amount of time. So say your bard, Sir Garrulus, has been, you know, looking at and trying to get information from some guards outside of the tavern. You know, a cheesy trophy situation, but that's what it is. And your bard's player really look at that. That looks like vomit. That's perfect. Your bard's player really enjoys role playing, and that's cool, because we want that. We want role playing on top of rolling the dice and playing. But give them their time and then stop them dead. Once you start to feel like they're starting to stretch it, stop them. and look at the next player in line. Go clockwise around your table. Say, okay, while he's doing that, what do you do? And then give every player around the table that same amount of spotlight. And then, some of them, those shy players, they might not want to do anything, but try to get them to do something. Try to, hey, work on the fly. Work on the fly and say, he's doing this, and then use your improv skills to say, well, maybe I don't like that. It looks like chocolate. Now I'm hungry. You know, maybe that person playing the elven sorcerer hasn't been playing wrong, and they're just kind of watching this other player, and they're overwhelmed by the new rules, the new game, the new people, the new dice. Good Lord, man. Do you remember the first time you had to figure out which was a D12 and which was a D20? I still struggle. Fortunately, though, I played 3.5 in Pathfinder, and you don't use a D12. Maybe the game we're using, I was going to use D8s. The game we're writing, maybe we'll use D12s. And I'll put our useless D12s to work for a change. So that sorcerer, maybe use your improv ability and say, hey, sorcerer X, this guy tries to pickpocket you, and you notice it. Don't even make them roll for noticing that pickpocket, but give them some time, especially a new player. Give them some time and let them figure out how to role play. See, here's one of those corner ones I was telling you about. Look at that. Yay! So you can see that we've got square edges here and along here and here, but this is carved out, not square. I'll lift it up for you guys to see a little bit better there. Not square. And this corner here is also carved out. So you can build round rooms, or I've got some that are 45s. You can build hallways at 45-degree angles, and it's going to be dope because I like caverns and dungeon crawls. Anyway, yeah, give that new player the opportunity, or that shyer player the opportunity to run some table time, to get their share of the game, because it's everybody's game. If you're running a campaign, it's whoever's at the table. It's not your game as the DM. I mean, it is your game. I always think of my games as my game. This is my game. I've been working on it. I've been writing on it. But when you sit down at the table, if it doesn't feel like it's collectively owned by everyone, by that new player who's playing the shy sorcerer, that new shy player who's playing the super shy sorcerer, and Lord Garrulus, the bard of many voices, something ain't right, man. If you as the DM feel that it's yours and none of this world building or sharing belongs to anyone else, send me a message on Facebook or something, and we'll have a little chat. I'll just tell you right now that you're wrong, and you're doing something wrong, or you're selfish, or you're new, and that happens when you're new. In that case, you're not like evilly wrong. You've just made a minor oops, and minor oopses can be easily fixed because happy accidents and all that stupid bullshit. So, yeah, give everyone balanced table time. Make sure they're all getting their shot, their share, their moment. And if it happens that something occurs during the game that a lot of that table time does get devoted to one player, that's cool. Ignore them the next game. Like, let them take their combat, let them chip in a little bit, but use that next session to focus on somebody else. Jerry Holkins over at Penny Arcade runs the Acquisitions Incorporated C-Team game, is very, very good at this, and he does it in a very subtle manner. If you're looking to learn how to do it, I would suggest checking out some C-Team. Start from the beginning, though, because it's addictive. You can stream this shit for days on end. And literally, I think there are like 80 episodes in right now. And it's just so good. It's so much fun. So balance your table well with who's running it. I mean, you should be primarily the one just setting the tone, setting the stage, and setting the challenges. But your players should be the ones collectively building the game. You know, you're going to give it skeletons and structure, internal structure, but the face and the eyes and the hair and you know all the ugly scars that your campaign is going to get, and all of its beauty is going to be provided by the people that you've selected, the people that have decided to come together to play your game. So balance your game between the players. What's another one we talked about? Mike, help me out here. Balance. Combat balance. Yes, combat balance. Balancing combat is a challenge. It can be a big challenge, especially, at least in my opinion, in two situations. The first is for new dungeon masters. The first time you're running a game, man, you want dragons, dude. It's Dungeons and Dragons. I'm a new DM. I want a dungeon, and in that dungeon, I want a dragon. Maybe 2 dragons, 3 dragons. Dungeons, plural. So they're going to go between 2 dungeons. There's going to be a dragon in each dungeon and 1 between the dungeons. Multiple dungeons, multiple dragons. Right? Wrong. No dragons at first level. Pseudo dragons, friendly dragons. Dragons as NPCs, because dragons will kill your characters. If you start at first level, like you should be doing if you're a new dungeon master, because everything beyond that is going to be of a scope that you probably won't be able to manage. Balance your encounters better. The 3.5 encounter level charts are strange and esoteric and not fun. They're not. They're I think they're terrible. I've always thought they're terrible. I've thought they're the worst for years and years and years. Look for new dungeon masters, especially. Look at some of those free online modules. I mean, you can find them all over the place on DriveThruRPG. There's archives of the old ones that Wizards used to give out that they somehow lost when 4th edition came out. I don't know what happened to all that stuff we gave out for free. It just disappeared. Blah, blah, blah. I lost a lot of respect for Wizards of the Coast when 4th edition came out. So, but you can still find those. I mean, look at them. Don't download them unless you want to get in trouble. I mean, potentially, because I think that stuff's all copyrighted, and actually looking for it is like on torrents, and you know, you can get PDFs of everything out there, but it's just not. It's not cool to content steal. I wouldn't do that if I were you. But balancing. Look at. So you're a new dungeon master, and you're writing your first combat. They're first level characters, and you think trolls are cool. Because you're right, trolls are awesome. I really like trolls. Or trolls are pretty powerful. You probably didn't know that. But you're going to learn when they level out your players. The 3 players that you got in your campaign to start it. Just 3. 4, as long as at least half of them are experienced players. But those trolls are going to wipe out your party. So what happens when you realize it? Or as an experienced DM, what happens when you realize, man, that gray render was a bit much for my 5th level party? Just dial it back. I do the opposite of dialing it back. I dial it up all the time. I dial it up immediately. My monsters do, according to the book, D8 damage. They do 2 D8 damage. That's it. Let's see, Mike. You got puzzles. Here's the thing with puzzles, Mike. This is something I don't like in D&D. Puzzles. I love traps. I've never been fond of puzzles. I'm not patient at all. And puzzles take time. And it's hard to put the fear of time into your players unless you're really good at it. I've gotten better. You should sit down at the table. You should come by for one of the Catcraft games sometime in the near future. Just do a drop in. Put together like a 4th level character. Give me a call and drop in, and you can play. That'd be cool. But yeah, puzzles are crappy because a lot of the time puzzles aren't about the character. They're about the player. And it's not fair to the players if you've got some people aren't good at logic puzzles. Like think like Sudoku. Like that stupid Japanese hate Sudoku. I have a fairly logical mind. You know, I can work through mathematical problems fairly well. I do a lot of high-end math in my job. I don't right now, but I have in the past. I'm a machinist. For those of you that don't know, I make really cool shiny things out of metal that I've cut out of bigger pieces of metal that are neither A, as cool, nor B, as shiny. I have made aircraft parts. I have made medical parts. I have made custom parts for Harley Davidsons. I have made parts for pumpkin chunking machines. So I can do math. I can do logic. Some players can't. Mike, I'm sure if you picture our game group, there's going to be people that are good at logic at that table, and then ones that aren't good at logic. So puzzles they don't relate to anything that the characters are. They're all about the player. And at that point, for me, I'd rather play poker, and I don't like poker. If it's going to be about the players, it's got to be about their role playing, not their ability to solve logic puzzles. Unless you're playing with a bunch of scientists. And you know very well, Mike, that I have very few friends who are truly scientists. Some of them are mad, without a doubt. None of them are any of them scientists. I do have a friend who is a doctor of anthropology, and I guess Wellman's buddy Paul. I don't know if you know Paul. He's a doctor of philosophy, political science, I guess. So I don't know what you do with it. I know he complains a lot and sits around and reads old Roman texts. So I hope his wife earns a lot of money, because I don't think he does. I mean, if money makes you happy, whatever. Regardless, puzzles, don't do them. I don't like them. Visual puzzles are cool. If you're going to do that, I mean, describing a puzzle for people who don't do logic stuff, that becomes tricky, boggy, and generally not a lot of fun. So do traps, though. Always do traps. Traps are the shit. Need a good way of giving hints in game without God speaking to them from the sky. Yeah, that's a tough one. You know, you want to keep God, the Deus Ex Machina, out of your machine as much as possible. You know, keep the man hidden behind the curtain while you can. You're not going to be able to do it all the time, obviously. Sometimes you just got to pop forward. So do traps. Puzzles from time to time, sure. If you enjoy doing puzzles, spend the time on getting them good, getting them right. Look for examples. I don't do them. I've done a few. I did a whole dungeon of puzzles, visual puzzles though. They were visual puzzles, and I had to spend the time making terrain for visual puzzles. I think all that stuff packed up still. I don't know. I didn't use them all anyway. So balancing role playing is a good thing, but this, like Mike here is talking, is balancing the kinds of encounters you have is important too. You can't just have a purely combat driven campaign, because that's WizWar or Hero Quest. As much as I like both of those games, I want to play some Dungeons and Dragons, and you can't play Dungeons and Dragons if you're going to instead play WizWar, or you can't play WizWar if you're going to instead play Dungeons and Dragons. So balance your encounters. You know, try puzzles. I'm not telling you don't do puzzles ever. Try them. Practice them. Look for examples of puzzles. They can be a lot of fun. They can be really cool. They can be difficult, but they can be very, very rewarding when you pull them off correctly. So, but for combat, balancing combat, I crank my guys up immediately. A lot of people have that trend that they want to get cooler monsters and then bring their power level way down. I don't like that. I don't like that because there's cool monsters at all encounter levels in the D&D books and all role playing books. So find a cool monster, even if it's a little bit lower, and just oh man, it does a D8 plus 2 damage. No, it doesn't. It does 2d8 plus 4. Period. Don't bring up their armor class ever. All right. Sometimes bring up their armor class. Don't boost their hit points by double because that's just going to make it suck longer. Because eventually your players should beat all encounters, but it's just going to be dull. It's going to be boring. So if you start with your monsters doing more damage and you realize they're doing too much damage, you can dial that back during combat and plausibly explain it as they're getting tired. They can't swing that axe or that sword or that club, or they can't swipe with their tail. They can't do their tail attack anymore because that, you know, Sir Garrulus the Bard's longsword hit it so hard they broke it. You know, that's plausible. What's not plausible is realizing 3 rounds into your combat, realizing 2 rounds into your combat that your creatures aren't as powerful as they need to be, and suddenly their armor class skyrockets, or suddenly they're doing more damage. Then your players aren't going to like it. Your players aren't going to trust you. The players aren't going to be into it. They're going to lose that that sense of disbelief we're all supposed to have at the table. So there's that. What else? There's a big one for me right now. Big one for me right now. Balance, balance, balance. And I have visual aids for this. I'm done painting, so I figured I'd move this along quickly. Visual aids. Let me move all this stuff out of the way. I want to show you guys something. A little snippet of what it's like to be Chuck at the current moment. Let me get I vape. I'm a douchebag, so let me get some vape. All right. Item number 1. This is one of those really awesome Moleskine notebooks that you can get at Barnes & Noble. Yeah, this is Barnes & Noble years and years ago. It's got some, at the very beginning is some sketches for suit, 16th century nobleman suit that my wife sewed for me that looks awesome. And then sketches for the next suit, some measurements for a lightsaber handle that I made for somebody. And then boom, game stuff. Look at that, it's game stuff. Oh, more game stuff. Oh, there's more stuff there, but some of my players might be watching. So this is the Catcraft Games game we play here once a month. This is my notebook. This is my DM notebook for that. Always get a cool DM notebook. That's the most important part of DMing. Make sure you get a cool notebook. So this is one game that I run once a month for this Catcraft Games project that we're pushing through. This is just one of the notebooks for my high-level Greyhawk game that I run. I have been running for about 10 years. Oh, it's upside down. This, if you can pony up a little bit of coin, I think it's 25 bucks. This is a Code and Quill notebook. I love these notebooks so very much. Yeah, so this is a bunch of stuff for my game in the long-running game. This is something I do when we do an interlude, and I need to jump into my notes somewhere and add a encounter. So we did an interlude here. And there's more stuff. Can't do that because someone from there might be watching. So here's one campaign that I run. Here's another campaign that I run. This green folder is my Pathfinder character. Our good old friend Kovash Klauvsh. Klauvsh. It's a mouthful. It sounds like he's choking on pickles and turnips. That's Kovash. Play Kovash once a month. Kovash is awesome. Kovash is a low-level cleric, but I have a feeling I'm going to have a lot of fun with him. This next green notebook, I have a thing for green folders and awesome notebooks. Pirates for Hire. I've used this notebook for a month of Sundays. I've got old retired characters here. One there, a gnome barbarian I played for a long time. I've got Nabazon Mashpaddle, my all-time favorite D&D character. He was a halfling clown. It was fun, a lot of fun. He was a 14th level before we ended up stopping that campaign. Here is my Star Wars D20 Star Wars character, Javelin McCurdy, also known as Gorp Zagnut. I love this guy too. He's a fat 50-year-old drunk washout from the Imperial Naval Flight Academy. So that's so we've got one game I write, another game I write, a game I play in, another game I play in. I work a full-time job. I have other hobbies too. I ride bicycles. I make wine and beer. And on top of that, I have this. I just got signed up for a Lean Six Sigma Green Belt certification through our local technical college. This is some serious shit. Yes, Mike, I am very organized. Look at this. I printed all these. These are the online modules. I got these little tabs for each chapter. So that when I go to take my test, I can just, boom, go right to that chapter. Notes, good to go. So yeah, this is taking up more time than all of my D&D, which is ridiculous. So some of you guys know that I have had to dial back CatCraft a little bit. I am still going to be doing content. This shit will be over before December 5th. The class ends December 5th. I am a week ahead of my schedule for all of my work. I plan on getting 2 weeks ahead this week. So I can keep doing this with you guys. What is this, Mike? You got any players you can't count on to be prepared? Forget their dice, character sheet, their snacks. Yes, you can always count on someone to suck. Somebody, not every game, but every once in a while, every few games, someone is going to suck. Like my buddy who plays the Paladin Croatian, game number 2, left his dice at home. I'm like, dude, I got plenty of dice, and he insisted on using his own dice, which was awesome. So we went home and got his dice. We had to wait for a couple other players anyway. John, you know, John was late as usual. Forget their dice, character sheet, snacks. You know who we play with, Mike? Do you think any of those guys is really going to forget snacks? Can you imagine those guys without Doritos and Taco Bell, a giant, 55-gallon drum of Mountain Dew? I don't think anyone ever forgets their snacks. Character sheets and dice happen. I've been on my way to that Kenosha game and realized that I forgot something halfway, and I've had to turn around. And that sucks. But I try and pack early. I really encourage people to make sure they got their shit before they leave the house. The way that I deal with that, though, with the characters, Mike, is every once in a while I make them give me a photocopy of their character, and I keep it in another folder, a red folder actually, which is still in my game bag. That'll be put on the shelf because I won't be running that game for another probably 4 months. So get a copy of your players' character sheets. That's a really good idea. Even if they're playing something a couple levels back, it's a good idea just to have it. Say if they sit down and go, shit, I left my guy at home. What do I do? Well, I've got him. He's 2 levels lower, but I've got him. Generally, that player will remember what else they have gotten since then. Especially like in that game that we're talking about, they will know for certain because they're a high level. They're 18th level now, dude. They know what's up. So balance here. Unfortunately for me right now, in my professional life, I have to focus on this. So let's make a couple files. We got this. Six Sigma Lean Green Belt certification means a drastic improvement in my professional life. It really does. I used to run a machine shop. I am just working in a machine shop now. I could be back to running a machine shop again in the Not necessarily near future, but potentially near future. So I have 2 campaigns I run, a Six Sigma Green Belt class, and 2 characters I'm playing. Well, I don't run this game when I'm playing this game. So this one can get set aside safely because I love that notebook. Buy one of those, guys. Mike, go find one. They're awesome. So this is only once a month, and I'm ahead. I've got enough material written for like 2 adventures. So that keeps me through Thanksgiving on this campaign. So this one, I can go in that pile. Good. I play this every couple weeks. I can go there. And I play this one once a month. I can go there too. Balance out your life. I love role-playing games. I love tabletop games of all kind, board games, card games. I love to play them. I love hanging out with people who like to play them. I like playing them with my friends. I enjoy playing them with my wife. I like meeting people at conventions and playing games. But you can't just play games as much as you want to. I got to do this. My buddy Mike here. Mike's got to go drive a truck. You know, remember that you got to balance real life with your game. Your game should be, if it is your hobby, if it's really that big to you, it should be an extension of what you do and who you are. And you shouldn't be afraid or ashamed to talk about it with people like some are. I play D&D. I'll talk to anybody about D&D. D&D is awesome, but I can't live it. You shouldn't either. Carry a notebook with you. I carry my notebook with me. If it's not, and this one's too big to fit in my pocket. But I have a little pocket notebook. And I can easily throw this in the console in my Jeep when I'm working on it. You know, I keep a pen and pencil with me all the time. If I'm at home, I got thousands. Always used, by the way, pencils. You guys. These ones are the world's greatest pencil. Ticonderoga on sale. Everything's on sale right now. After you get back to school, clearance sales. Go get your pencils and pens and shit. Balance your life. Have fun. Be a responsible adult. Pay your bills. Go to work. Call me up. We'll play a game. How's that sound? Mike, you still got to stop by for a game. Get off your ass. Get over here. We'll grill. We'll have some homemade mead. We'll roll some dice. You haven't been in the house yet, though, have you? You got to get out here. Get out here. And the rest of you guys, make this project. Do this. I have 2 battle mats. And I still make shit like this because I like to mix it up. You should mix it up too. Just like this. Balance your life. Balance your game. Mix up your terrain with battle mats, theater of the mind. Mix up your life with the things you got to do so that you can then do the things you want to do. And that's as preachy as I'm going to get for today. I do want to end this one last time saying congratulations to Jen and Andy. Thank you very much for having us at your celebration. It was a beautiful wedding. It was a fantastic celebration. Beautiful bride, a handsome groom, a lot of friends who I hadn't seen in a long time. For those of you that are going to watch that I hadn't seen in, God damn it, Matt, I hadn't seen you in 2 or 3 years, huh? I hadn't seen you since my wedding, Matt. That's almost 3 years. Let's do something. Oh, speaking of wife, it is my beautiful wife. Beautiful wife, you missed out on your husband being preachy. But Jen, Andy, thank you very much. Beth, Mark, Camille and Mark, Matt. It was, God damn it, it was awesome to see you guys. Teresa, it was great to see you too. I don't think you're going to watch this. It was nice meeting new people. Again, look out. Christmas time, perhaps after New Year, we are going to have a new product out, free print and play. I got it rattling around my skull right now. We are going to do some Catcraft game, original, non-D&D stuff while we work on the D&D stuff. Beyond that, happy gaming, everybody.